My parents let my brother sabotage my sister for 15 years. Now, they're furious. She banned him from her $40,000 wedding ceremony. My 37-year-old brother, Mark, is a complete fool. Always has been and always will be. Our parents have babied him to the point of being useless, and as a result, he has become an entitled slob. When he was younger, he showed potential in rugby, leading my mother and father to assume he would become a superstar. The difficulty was that he lacked the work ethic required to reach his full potential. However, this meant that he was the family's golden boy, capable of doing no wrong in my parents' eyes. He was a bully at school, which they dismissed as other students fabricating lies. But he was an even larger bully at home to our younger sister, Ingrid, who is 31 years old. He was always pranking her. He would do everything to embarrass her, such as tugging up her dress in front of the entire family at a wedding when she was 15. Mom and Dad simply explained it as siblings being siblings, but the rest of the family was appalled by his actions. I attempted to stand up for my sister, and it worked to some extent. But after I left for university, there wasn't much I could do because my parents simply refused to listen to anyone. It became so severe that when she was 18, my sister abandoned her ideal institution, St. Andrews, and moved to London to attend Imperial College London. This surprised all of us because she had been talking about St. Andrews since she was in high school at the age of 11. When I inquired why, she explained that St. Andrews was too near to home and that she would be expected to return home more frequently. But if she went to London, she would just need to return home for Christmas. This destroyed my heart. After she left, she did just that. She was only home for Christmas, and when I married. This irritated Mom and Dad, since they believed she was abandoning the family. I kept my lips quiet and let them whine periodically, since I didn't want an argument. My parents expected her to return home after graduating from university, but she chose not to. She acquired a job in southern England and stayed there. To clarify, we are from Scotland. Ingrid met Jake, a nice guy, aged 36 years ago. The day she met him, she called me and gushed over him, and I've never heard her speak about anyone else like she does about him. I've met him several times when I've been down to see Ingrid, and he's fantastic. He's attractive, humorous, does an excellent job, has a nice family, and, most importantly, respects Ingrid as if she hung the moon. It's really cute. After meeting him, she reduced her visits home even more, as she spent the first Christmas with his family. Then the pandemic struck, and she was forced to stay away from home for 3 years. Mark began his typical bullcrap, attempting to be the center of attention on her first Christmas at home. When things didn't go as planned, because the rest of the family was more interested in getting to know Jake, he attempted to prank Ingrid. He fetched a large basin of water and was about to dump it over her. Jake noticed what was occurring and stood in front of Ingrid, asking Mark not to think about it. Jake is 6 feet 3 inches and has been doing martial arts since he was 4, so he can be very intimidating when needed. Mom and Dad tried to play it off as a harmless prank, but Jake was having none of it. Mark started whining about it only being a prank, and Jake told him that if he pranked Ingrid one more time, he would prank Jake by putting his foot up his buttocks and his fist down his throat. Ingrid and Jake departed about an hour later, but Mark, Mom, and Dad had a disagreement with Jake, and Ingrid hasn't returned home since. That brings us to now. Ingrid and Jake are getting married. They sent out invites in February for August, but they didn't invite Mark. Mom and Dad are obviously enraged by this and had a large quarrel with Ingrid. They threatened not to come, and Ingrid answered, "No problem." She'd asked Granddad to lead her down the aisle. On Saturday, I went around to their house with my kids, and my mother immediately began complaining about Ingrid and the wedding. I sat and listened for a while before I had had enough, and I asked her what she expected. She and her husband had allowed Mark to be the golden child and get away with everything. Because of this, he is unable to maintain a relationship. He believes that everyone should do everything for him. He is unable to hold down a job because it is beneath him, and he is still living at home with no prospects in life. The man-child is a bully whom I do not trust to be around my children unsupervised. He bullied Ingrid for the majority of her adolescence, and her only escape was to relocate over 400 miles away and never return home. My mother became very quiet and then asked me to leave. A few hours later, my father called, enraged because I had upset my mother and was taking the side of an ungrateful little girl instead of my parents, who had given me everything. This sparked a huge argument between me and him, in which I told him that he had been a terrible father to Ingrid and did not deserve to walk her down the aisle. I've had enough. But now extended family members are telling me I've gone too far, since my mother is rarely speaking to anyone and sobbing all the time. My grandfather remarked it was about time I told him off, but my grandmother is worried by all the squabbling. So, am I the idiot for telling my parents that they sucked as parents and deserve to be kicked out of my sister's wedding? My sister isn't changing her mind. They aren't going to the wedding no matter what. She only invited them because she thought it was the right thing to do in the first place. So, Granddad will walk her down the aisle regardless. Your sister clearly chose a great husband to be, but if they can't stand the truth, they need to hibernate. Maybe you should join his family for future celebrations and leave those three to their own devices. Does your mother think Mark will take care of them in their old age? I'm sure you and Ingrid won't. Tell Ingrid to hire security, as parents and Mark may try to crash the wedding. You can't expect a victim of a bully to invite their bully to their wedding. So it's time to air the dirty laundry. If you can avoid contact with your parents and maintain regular contact with Ingrid, if possible, it's probably also a good thing to avoid any social media posts about the bachelorette party, rehearsal dinner, etc. Mark sounds like the kind of guy to call and mess with the venues. Opie, your mom's tears are her own doing. She ignored her daughter being treated like crap for years. And then, instead of owning it, she tries to play the whole, woe is me. I'm crying so you can't possibly be upset with me. It's actually pathetic. And your sister is better off far away from all of you. She built a new life, one rooted in peace, respect, and boundaries. Things your household never provided her. She isn't bitter. She's healed. And healing meant shutting the door on people who laughed when she cried and stayed silent when she was humiliated. My wife, 30, and I, 33 male, could finally enjoy a night out together, something we rarely get to do. We grabbed dinner, shared a few drinks, and overall had a great time. Since we live just a short walk from the restaurant in a generally safe upper-middle-class neighborhood, we decided to take the scenic route home through a park, thinking it would be a nice way to end the evening. Two men approached us out of nowhere, claiming to have guns, though we couldn't see them clearly, and demanded our wallets and phones. We complied without resistance, completely taken aback and terrified, but didn't end there. One of them barked at us, "Take off your stuff." At this point, I was in full panic mode. What was I supposed to do? Go full action hero and get us both shot? Trying to keep things from escalating, I removed my shirt and gave them what they wanted. My wife, though hesitant, followed suit, and we were left standing in our underwear by the time they ran away. We eventually flagged down a passing car, got help calling the cops, and filed a report. But the officer who responded seemed uninterested. The next day, my wife shut down emotionally. I assumed she needed time to process, but today she snapped, furious that I didn't defend her. We canceled the cards quickly and filed a police report. We had a heated argument about it, but I honestly don't know what else she expected me to do. They were armed, or at least convincing enough, and we were outnumbered and unarmed. We lost some items, but we weren't hurt. Isn't walking away unharmed the best possible outcome in a situation like that? So here I am wondering, am I the idiot for prioritizing our safety over putting on an act of bravery? Phones can be deactivated and replaced. Credit and debit cards can be deactivated and replaced. But what's more valuable, money or life? You can always earn more money, but you can never earn your life back. Not an idiot at all. You prioritized life over pride, and that's what matters most. Unless you have Chuck Norris's skill and confidence, you did absolutely fine. It sucks to be robbed, but it's not worth dying for. It appears to me that she was looking for a, "Please don't have to take my wife's clothes." I think she was looking to be spared the humiliation of stripping down to underwear. You should not have fought back in any way, and I would not hold you accountable for not defending her dignity and asking to let her keep her clothes. When you're asked to remove clothing as a woman, the stakes feel higher, just adding insight into what she may be feeling. This was a traumatic experience, and you may need joint and separate therapy sessions to work through it together. Years ago, my parents were on vacation in Rome, Italy, and went out for dinner one night, near enough to the hotel to walk back. When a mugger approached them with a knife and demanded money, my father simply responded, "No, stab me." The guy became enraged, flashed his knife, and fled. Mom went insane on him and recounted this story for years. How Dad almost killed them both in Italy because he was an idiot. I guess it's either you do it or you don't. My friend is getting married this weekend, and I'm attending her bridal party. She asked a month ago in our group chat who could stay the night before at her place, which I initially agreed to ensure the morning goes smoothly for hair and makeup. I'm also a member of my country's military, and I told her 2 years ago that my participation would be contingent on deployment. Last week, I was informed that I would be deployed for a period ranging from 6 months to 2.5 years away from home. My family will be unable to accompany me, and my spouse will only be able to visit on weekends. I will be unable to return home for at least 6 months, and I will leave a week after the wedding. Last night, I asked her when I'd be needed if I didn't spend the night, and she told me at 6 a.m. that she couldn't make any more changes and that she wanted me there the night before. I hadn't told her about my deployment, but I did then so she could understand why I was changing my mind. I have some back difficulties and cannot go to deployment with a bad back from sleeping on the floor or the sofa. I also don't want to miss one of my last few evenings with my family. I also wake up every morning at 5 a.m. for a run, so I'm not concerned about sleeping in. She then began to cry and tell me about other trouble she was having, such as last-minute family dropouts, which I suppose was a sort of straw that broke the camel's back situation. I told her that I would work things out, and we left it at that. Today, I called the maid of honor, a mutual friend, and told her the whole situation, hoping she could help my friend understand why I don't want to give up one of my last remaining nights with my family. She spoke with the bride and called me back, and the bride has now given me an ultimatum. Either I arrive the night before and give no mention to my issues and support her wholeheartedly, or I step down from being in the bridal party and attend as a guest. I'm frustrated because I've told her that I'm willing to support her on her big day, but not the night before. This has also highlighted an imbalance in our friendship over the last few years, in which I believe I offer a lot more. I don't want to act rashly, and I'm wondering if my request to come over in the morning is really that unreasonable. Attending the wedding the night before will lead to resentment on my part, and I'll be keeping her at arm's length in the future. Am I an idiot for not attending? How can you be fit for deployment if a single night spent sleeping on a couch would give you back issues for more than a week? Anyway, why can't you just arrive at her place the night before a little later in the evening, spend time with your family, and then head over there? I think she's being overly dramatic and insisting that you arrive the night before instead of showing up at 6 a.m. But I also think you're being overly dramatic and not just being with, forget this, not an idiot. If I'm away for 2.5 years, I'll spend every night with my husband. You get the day of your wedding and not another minute. It's not dramatic in this case of military deployment. I would concede, OP, that the narrative sounds like an excuse. Yet, I wholeheartedly encourage spending as much time as possible with your husband. In the bride's defense, Opie agreed to stay the night a month ago and is now flaking out 3 days before. It's reasonable for the bride to be skeptical of Opie's ability to stick to their word and actually show up when they say they will. The bride doesn't want the headache of corralling people in the morning and dealing with "I'm running X minutes behind" messages. Opie, you're not the idiot. Your absence from the wedding will not ruin your friendship. The ultimatum will do that first, because she's being a brat by demanding this of you, who are about to leave your family for an extended period of time. But you also said that even if you go, you'll resent her for the time lost with your family, which she did by demanding you be there for non-essentials when you've already promised her the day in question. Your absence will be sad, but I'm not the fool. Not even close. Update. After reading everyone's comments, I decided that, as crazy as it may appear, if my friend is prepared to risk years of relationship over this, I would just wait till my family went to bed and then go to her apartment to support her. I didn't disclose that the 5 other bridesmaids, and the maid of honor were all requested to spend the night. So I assumed that coming in the morning, which was previously an option, would suffice. In addition, the rehearsal is on a different day, so I have 3 different wedding days on my schedule. Therefore, I'm planning my time accordingly. Because the bride's phone was turned off, I had to contact her through the maid of honor, which is why I didn't speak with her personally today. Anyway, as I mentioned, I decided to just swallow my frustrations and attend the night before. I messaged the maid of honor about my decision, and then, when I checked the bridal party group chat, I noticed the bride had removed me from the group an hour before. No word to me, without giving me a chance to accept her ultimatum. So now I'm just going as a guest, and I'm not even sure if I'm still invited. My friend of many years doesn't respect me enough to talk to me directly about all of this. My wife and I have 3 boys, 39, 38, and 24, and a nearly adult daughter. Our sons adore her, or at least the majority of them do. Our middle son, who also has a nearly adult son, dislikes her. A few weeks ago, it was my grandson's birthday. My oldest son chose not to attend because he was too tired from work, but his wife did and gave a gift. My youngest son also chose not to attend since he dislikes being around too many teenagers. And my middle son appeared to be angry. Then a few days ago, it was my daughter's birthday, and my oldest and youngest, who adore her, wanted to pamper her a little bit. They showered her with gifts, and my middle son became enraged and screamed at them, calling us all jerks for favoring my daughter. I told him that my daughter is their sister, but his kid is not. They are not and will never be the same to his brothers, and he has to accept this and stop acting entitled. He called me an idiot and left the party. Am I an idiot for claiming my son's behavior is entitled? Not an idiot. It's probably a reflection of the connection between the boys rather than the relationship with a nephew or their sister. I suppose he's always carried anger against her because you had a baby when you should have been loving your brand new grandson. Regardless of how he felt, he should not have acted like a child and thrown a tantrum at your daughter's birthday celebration. Wait, why are we suspecting the son of resentment rather than the OP for maybe not being happy with their son having a child at such a young age, which is still evident in the way they treat their son and grandson today? Your middle child was forgotten throughout childhood and parenthood. You are an idiot. You speak extremely differently about your daughter and your grandson, and it appears that the daughter is doted on while the boy is an afterthought. According to what I read in your text, the daughter is the family's baby who must be spoiled by everyone, while the boy is just there. If he is upset that the family uses excuses not to attend his birthday, he is considered entitled. Good luck with that family dynamic. I do not want to be the middle son here. Thanks for watching and diving into this wild family drama with me. If you love Reddit family drama, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one.